I hope everyone is doing okay under these very, very difficult and trying times. I wanted to share a thought on Parshas Tazriah Metzorah, that is our Parshas HaShavua this week, relating to plagues, relating to tzaras, relating to Negoim, and perhaps how that connects to us a little bit during these times as well. So a lot of times when you learn Parshas Tazriah Metzorah, you get caught up in a lot of details. There's so many minutiae in the parsha, but let's look big picture. If you look at the big picture over here, you'll notice that Perek Yud Gimel is where we start the discussion of tzaras in great detail. The first 46 psukim talk about tzaras haguf. You're getting tzaras on your body. This doesn't say a word about the tahara, just the tzaras itself. Then we have tzaras habegodim, clothing, and there is no cure to that problem. There's no repair. You just have to burn the clothing. Then we go to how do you cure your tzaras haguf. That's the beginning of Perek Yud Dalet of our parsha. How you solve the tahara of someone who has tzaras on his guf. And then we go to, at the end of Perek Yud Dalet, tzaras habatim, and how you are metaher tzaras habatim, when you have tzaras on your house. So the order is a little striking, because I might have placed, if I was doing it, if I was writing the Torah, which of course I don't, but if I was writing the Torah, maybe I would have put all the tzaras together, haguf, begadim, and batim, and then how you cure those problems. Or perhaps I would have more linked tzaras haguf with tzaras habayis, because each of those have a tzaras and a repair, whereas tzaras begadim has no repairs. It's a little unusual. The Torah writes tzaras haguf, tzaras begadim, and then taharas tzaras haguf, and only then at the end tzaras habatim. So I wanted to share a thought, and perhaps the idea is the Torah wants to distinctly isolate tzaras begadim from tzaras haguf, and these are two separate tzaras. There's two separate forms of tzaras, and as we know, when physical afflictions befall people, when we have this disease called tzaras, this plague called leprosy, so Chazal understood very well that it's not just a physical problem. It is coming from a spiritual malaise. There's a spiritual problem that is causing this physical phenomena, this physical pain. And indeed, Chazal tell us, and we all know when it comes to tzaras, and we learn this from Miriam herself, that it comes because of Lashon Hara. It comes because of Lashon Hara, and the person who speaks Lashon Hara, he gets tzaras, he or she gets tzaras, and there's this process where they're now sent michutz lamachane, there's isolation, there is quarantine, there is separation from the rest of society, and then there's a process of slowly but surely coming back. That's when it comes to tzaras haguf. When it comes to tzaras habayis, so once again, Chazal tell us this came not stam. It came because of a certain spiritual malaise. The Gemara Maseches Yuma, Daf Yud Aleph and Beis, and also the Medrash in Medrash Rabbah, Dvarim Rabbah, Chelek Parsha Vav Simin Ches. I'll read that. It says Al Yedei Ma Hanegoim Boim. Why did a person get tzaras habayis? So the answer is because a person had an ayin ra'ah. He was miserly. He wasn't sharing of his materials, and therefore, when the person said, "Do me a favor, lend me your axe, hashileni kardumcha," and he says, "Ainly, I don't have one." He says, "Lend me your sifter." "I'm sorry, I don't have any." So then the Torah tells us, "Miyad hanega al beso tchila." He gets nigei habayis, and the first thing that has to be done when you see the markings on the house is you have to take everything out of the house, because after all, the contents of the house will become tameh if you don't remove them. So right away he has to remove them, and now all of a sudden, that neighbor who wanted to borrow that axe, that neighbor who wanted to borrow that, he has an axe, he has a sifter. He gets exposed in that fashion. So you have, Chazal tell us, these plagues do not afflict us stam. There is some kind of underlying reason. This is what the Gemara in Yuma says as well, is that person keeps all of his things to himself. He doesn't want to interact with his neighbor, with his society, lend out his things. So Omar She'en lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu mefarsimo. So Hashem will publicize. And when he has to empty out his house, he's going to be exposed, the same exact idea that you find in the Medrash. So what emerges is that these two forms of tzaras are coming for very different reasons. That's why the Torah has to separate them, has to make them distinct. And perhaps they're coming from two societal flaws. And again, to think about how this applies to us in our situation. Lashon hara comes because we trespass. We go into places that we shouldn't be going. A person's entitled to his privacy. A person's entitled for you not to speak about him, not to malign him, not to speak ill about him, to respect him fully. And if you trespass, you go to places, you speak about things that you shouldn't be speaking about, you've encroached, you've trespassed, you're offsides, 5-yard penalty, and therefore you have to be in isolation. You went to a place you shouldn't have gone to, so you have to be quarantined. That's Lashon Hara, when you trespass into someone else's personal space, when you speak about them when you shouldn't be doing so. When it comes to Tzaras Habayis, it's perhaps the exact opposite. You're too isolated. You're too into yourself. You're being selfish. You're not giving of others. You're not sharing. You're too quarantined. You're too much in your own Dalet Amos. And therefore, says the Torah, no. You're going to get Tzaras Habayis and you'll be exposed. You're not sufficiently involved in your community, in the society around you. You're being too selfish, too self-centered. You should be giving more of others, and therefore what you should be lending now is going to be exposed to everyone to see. Again, Chazal tell us, I think the most important takeaway is that things happen for a reason. We have to understand the moral failings that sometimes trigger these physical phenomena. How that applies to us, I don't know, but I just ask us to think about the following fundamental ideas. Again, when it comes to Lashon Hara and Tzaras Haguf, so we're too much out there, we're too much in the public domain, and we're told then to retreat, to go back inside, to be quarantined. When it comes to Tzaras Habayis, we're too selfish, we're too self-oriented, we're not sharing enough. And therefore, once again, the Torah tells us, that's not okay. And therefore, all of your stuff, all of the things that you held as yours, as mine and only mine, shali, that's going to be put out there. That's going to be exposed. And to learn lessons, that's all we can do, is learn lessons, try and be better. Try and be better people. Try and be more giving, more caring, more respectful of the space of others, while at the same time, letting others know that our things, our property is also available to them. We should all be zoche to learn lessons from the things that happen all around us, to grow from them, and as Hashem, come to a situation where it can be normal and live healthy, normal lives in society, in communities, and Bez Hashem, do better, be better, and then be zoche to accomplish amazing, amazing things. Have a wonderful Shabbos.